Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you guys are having a fabulous Friday. Today, we're going to be doing a paint with me kind of a conversation. So you guys have seen that I have posted about the ornament bar that I have been doing. And let me give you the backstory. I started just kind of offering the ornaments and tags and what back in August, early September. And then I took Gwen's course from Getting Creative with Gwen and Jonathan. And I tweaked some of the things that I was doing just to make things a little bit easier. And see kind of where I was missing the mark. One of the things that people keep often asking me is, Nikki, do you paint your own ornaments? Yes. Yes, I do. And then they're like, but I can't paint like you. How can I make them look really cool and fun and not like a 5-year-old did it? So I'm going to do that with you today. We're going to paint one of the ornaments. I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I have done and just some of the minor techniques. There's nothing crazy. As you can see, I've been painting this morning. I'm going to grab my paint brushes. I'm going to show you what I have in my kit. I'm going to show you how to do it and all the jazz. So let's flip over to the desk over on the other side of the room. So thank you guys for joining me for this. So give me 1 second to flip that over. There we go. As you guys can see, there's some of the ones that I have been painting. I just want to double check. You guys can hear me in the comments, right? You can just, before I walk away from my computer, you guys can hear me, I hope. So let me grab my paintbrush and actually I'm going to grab my very dirty water, which doesn't matter at the end of the day. Perfect. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Sherry. All right. Let me just mosey on over that way. So as you can see, I will bring them up closer to the camera. I have the reindeer, the snowman, the penguin. You don't need a lot. So when we're talking about the ornament bar, you don't need a lot of things. They get to pick their own. I'm going to show you how I do my glue and all of that happy jazz. Let me just get into the book of faces here in the group so I can watch my own video so that I can see what you guys are saying, because you guys are going to be on my phone. Hopefully you're just going to stay like this, but again, one never knows. It was kind of an unscripted, unplanned live today, so this is what you're going to get at the end of the day. All right, there we go. Let me grab. Whoop, there. I'm on the camera now. Okay. So let's do this. Let's move this camera a little bit over there. There, we're good. Okay. So here is the Ranger one. Isn't she darling? This probably is my favorite. I get a lot of these from, so don't get me wrong, I can create my own files, but why reinvent the wheel when they've got some already yummy cuteness out there? This one is from the Sawdust Maker. Love her stuff. Her name is Chris. One of my favorites, but this is, how can you just not love a good reindeer? And you're like, but that looks really complicated. It's not. Then this morning, I did these guys. If you do the Getting Creative with Gwen's thing, it's like $49. You get free files with it, and these just happen to be the free files. And I was like, you know what? Let's show you how to paint these. While I have a ton of other files in my wheelhouse, you don't have to have a ton. So let's move all the goodness off of here because splatter paint. All right. So what you're going to need is, this is what my glue comes in. I'm going to show you how to use that with your paintbrush when you're done with it. So I give them instructions where you can, you add the glue, like you paint the whole thing, clean off your brush, and then you use your brush to paint on the glue. It makes it less messy, and they're not going to put a ton of it on there. So that'll get used for later. When I tell you that a 5mm paint pod is excessive, it absolutely is. So this is the 5mm. I have painted about 4 ornaments already with just this one. You really want the 3mm. They look uber tiny, and you're like, Nikki, that doesn't look like that's going to be enough paint. So what you could do, and here's what I'm going to be doing, is after looking at them and figuring out my cost analysis on everything, I'm going with the 3mm on all the colors except for black and white. Black and white is because then you can mix it with other colors. And white and black are kind of predominant in a lot of the ornaments that we're doing. So I want to give you a little bit more paint for that. The 2 extra mils could be the difference of having a light pink and a dark pink and a medium pink, right? So that's where I'm going to offer the white and the black in the bigger pots. They're not called pods, they're called pots. In the bigger pots, and then the regular everyday colors are going to be in the 3 mil, which is perfectly fine, and it's less paint that I have to worry about. So that's what this is right here. Now you're going to ask me the kind of paint. I use the Art Deco ones. Honestly, I don't want to be going to the Home Depot and getting the quart size just yet. I might do the quart size in the black and the white, but I will show you. I do get this is the Americana. These are the 16 ounce. I use a lot of white and a lot of black. So with that, I take these and then I just refill my little squirt bottles, because why reinvent this wheel? So that is what I use there. You kind of want to have a thick paint. You don't want to have a really runny paint. I just happen to like the Americana Art Deco ones, or the Deco Art ones for me. Now, you see right here how I have the butcher paper down. This is my palette, pretty much, right? I don't use a paper plate. I don't use any of that kind of stuff for that. I just want to see if there's anybody in the comments. Okay, there we go. So I don't use any of that kind of stuff. I literally put this down in front of all of my people. Easy cleanup, what to do. So first things first, you need yourself an ornament. Now, is there a rhyme and reason to how I lay this all out? Nope, there is not. All right. So these are the different pieces. I am going to show you a couple different tricks that I use. This guy comes in handy for scoring out those lines. I plan on getting more things that have a sharp point, so that when I'm doing my maker classes and my sign classes, I can show them that, and that's going to kind of come in handy for a couple of other things. So we see that we have a reindeer. Now you want to go in and just kind of lay it out real quick and figure out which side goes where, how is it supposed to lay out, where do you want all your things, okay? So this is essentially what it's going to look like when it's done. So I work my way backwards, and I start with my background. Now for this one, I want to use a red background. It's going to be a brownish, tannish reindeer, nothing crazy, okay? Yes, that's a lot of paint, but I'm going to thin it out just a little bit with a little bit of water. Now I'm going to show you that I have many different types of paintbrushes, or well, it's the same paintbrush. It's just I use them for different things. So get this kind of a little bit wet, and I just go in and just start painting. There's no craziness to this. There's no rhyme or reason. Don't get all excited about it, because you're going to go in, you're going to change a lot of things. Now I have a paint class tonight actually, and we're painting our snowmen. And I'm doing a fundraiser on December 1st with my people. Now, can you paint the back? Yes. For the sake of this tutorial, I am not painting the back. We're just going to do this front. And when I tell you it doesn't take me long to paint these, it really doesn't. It takes a hot second. You're going to think that all of this crazy detail that I do is really complicated, and it's not. I do use the same brush for everything. Just clean it off. Sometimes I want it to have a little bit of the color that I used prior on there. So for like this example, right? Now, here's where this little tool comes in handy. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to clear out these score lines a little bit. Now I don't have to necessarily worry about where he is on here, but while it's wet, clear them out, make them a little bit more defined, because paint. And remember, this is not like you're going to be sitting here masking. These are people who are going to go and paint themselves. So now I've got my little lines defined. Now I want to add in a little bit of black, little dab. Come on. There we go. We don't need a lot of black, and while it's might be off my screen over here, it's not. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to rub this, just the tip of this, on both sides of that paintbrush. And I want to create this kind of effect. Now, I'm going to go in first. I don't care that it's wet. I want it to be. And you're going to pull it away from you. All right. You want to pull this right away from you. See how I'm pulling downward? So I'm giving it this rustic look. Don't worry about that. Don't get upset because of that. And I'm still going in. And on those lines, I want them to be a little bit more dominant in color because I want them to look like the slats. Now you're like, well, that might be a little too much. When you're done, it's not. You're going to fade it all out, get it all nice and faded with the paint that's already on there. You're blending. Okay. See how that side already looks 1,000 times better than this side? So we're going to go back in with your black. Again, get it on both sides and dry it out a little bit. If it looks like it's too wet, it's going to look clumpy and we don't want that. So again, you might want a little bit of dark spots. It's okay if there's a dark spot here or there. It kind of gives that really nice rustic look to it. Don't get all upset about it. Now I'm going to go in, see how that's dark. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it being that, and I'll just fade it out a little bit. Go right on those lines. Fade out those lines a little bit with your brush, your dry brushing technique right now. Okay, and you're trying to get it into those different little crevices. Now I might want a little bit more because it didn't get a lot on this bottom edge. I really want more on this bottom edge a little bit. Okay, and that's how this all happens. All right, so now you're going to sit, let her dry, walk away from it. It will all make sense. You might go back in, like I may go back in when I have my black because I really like a nice dark edge on mine. So I might go in and as I sit there and look at it, because you want to walk away from it. You want to go, okay, you know, maybe you want more of a rustic edge to this. So while, yes, I'm sitting here playing with it, I'm going to put it down and I'm going to walk away from this. Okay. Because we need to. Next up, we're going to paint this guy. Now, this guy, I don't know exactly. I know I want his antlers to be a darker brown. So we know this about this. So let's do the antlers first, because that's going to set the stage for how you're going to paint the rest of your reindeer. Again, we just put a little bit. We don't need a lot. Clear off your brush. You also want to have yourself a paper towel handy for wiping off your brush. Stick that off to the side, if you will. Really? Okay. So we're going to take this. We're going to add our brown in. We're not worrying about how we're painting him. We're just painting him. Okay. We're going to go in with the details later. Don't worry about how many different layers you put in there. That's not going to matter either, unless it's white. And we'll talk about that in a second. Because you have to understand what people have is what they're going to grab. They're not going to have all these fun tools that you have. So you really need to paint with the tools that you come with it. So while, yes, I have those line pieces, this thing to put my lines in, do you need it? No, you don't. It's all in how you paint it. Okay, so now we have that one complete. Let's clear off our brush. Now we have some red still here. We want his nose to be red. Let's get this all taken care of. We're getting the base of all of our reindeer, and then the magic happens with the shades and the gradients, all of that fun stuff. Okay. Clear off my brush a little bit so it's not sopping wet with paint. Okay. Nose, put them aside. This is a hard one for everybody. So now I need to decide if I want him to be a tan reindeer. Now, for me, I feel like that color is a little bit too light for my reindeer. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to give it a little bit of a drop. Just a dot. Okay. So with that dot, clear off this brush. Get all the red out of there. Clear it off. I'm going to go in and we're going to just mix him up. Okay, and you're going to look at it and go, it's not quite what I want. So I want it not quite as dark as the antlers. Whoa, but I don't want it as light as the coffee color. So you kind of want a mid-tone. Okay. Now, here's a little trick. While that's marinating at the moment, I want to show you something real quick that you're going to want to do. So these eyes, I'm going to go in and I'm going to go just like this for these eyes. And you're like, Nikki, you're making a mess. You're right. Okay. So now that I've got there, I could take this and just come right over the top, get off that excess paint. Okay. Now the eyes are the black that I want them to be. Don't freak out. Okay. The only time you're going to have to add multiple layers for this is when you have white as your base. Okay. But we're going to be using a coffee color. We're just going to come over and we're going to come around this for a little bit while I let that dry a little bit more. You can use a hair dryer. You can always use a hair dryer to paint this. But for me, when it's painting, I like to blend. I like to blend. Now, we're getting to the eye part. This is where people start having heart failure. Come up in one direction. Okay? So it's one direction. Pick the direction you want. I like to do everything. I like to pull things away from me. See how easy that was? That wasn't hard. Let him dry. We're going to put one more coat over it so it covers up the black. That's why I like to cover the black. I don't like to put a ton of black, but if for some reason I get a little bit of paint in there, that's what that little tool that I was using, which is my weeding tool, comes in handy. Okay. So let him dry a little bit. Let it dry. Keep this brush handy. There's lots of paint there. While your people are going to use just the paintbrush they have, you get the availability to have all the goods. Okay. Again, we got this. Now we've got this thing right here. We're going to start with the leaves. This is your holly berries. And you're going to come around very slow. Okay. Do the other side. See how we're almost done with this? It's really not hard. I think people just overthink the process of this and think, oh, I can't paint like that. Yes, you can. Anybody can paint like this. Okay. So now I'm literally going to use the same brush. If you notice, I keep cleaning off my brush. I'm going to come in and I'm going to dab in my berries. Okay. If I wanted to use my little weeding tool, because we want ours to look perfect, right? We want ours to look like a certain way and whatnot. And that's how that is done. Okay. Now that we've gotten to that part of the whole story, we're going to go in one more time with this brown. Okay. And I really, because I've got it on the eyes, I'm going to come in just one more time with a light. Don't be like pushing the paint inside here. You want a light. Keep it light. See? Oh, perfect. That was a great one. See how I got it in there? You're like, oh, yep. Because we painted the undertone. You can come in first, go in with your finger, get some of that off, right? We'll fix it. Okay. Don't get upset. This will all come out. You don't care how your client does it. You want it to look a certain way. Okay. So, because I had way too much paint. Whoa, that's a catastrophe. Let's get a different brush out. Okay. So go back in it again. And remember, light strokes over the top. And if it still happens, that's okay. You want to cover up that spot that you did. And you can go back in, like I said, with your little tool here and just clear it up very quick, very easily. Don't like make a mountain out of a molehill here. Toothpick works good if you don't have a weeding tool. Okay. Now I will say, I'm going to go get a dry brush for a second. I have a little bit of a ridge, so I just want to feather it down. Okay. There we go. You're going to be adding in so much other stuff, you're not even going to notice all of this. There we go. Now, could you go up in and go right in here and go right in the round and make it all sorts of perfect? Yes, it's an ornament though. Okay. So now we have this, set it aside. Now we're going to go back through and we're going to look at this. Now, do we want to add anything to this? And you have to decide what you want to add to it. So for me, I want to add the white speckles will come at the end. Okay. So I got a little bit on here. Let's fix that real quick. There we go. A little bit in that spot. Okay. Okay. Do you want a little bit more black on your edging? This becomes now dealer's choice. Okay. Now you're getting into all of the artistic part of it, and it becomes a dealer's choice conversation. Now I'm leaving whatever ink is on here or paint. The reason I'm doing that is because it gives it, again, that whole worn look. I add in some more red where that one was. There we go. Okay. So now it has that. We're going to go and we're going to take that same black, because we're going to be working in the black scale right now. Okay. So underside will be black, above it will be white. Okay. So first we want to come on this other side of it. Shades, gradients. Okay. Shades and gradients. So this is one side. All right. This is the other side. Again, we want the shades to go down at the bottom, and you want the, I have to turn it because I'm right-handed. Okay. So now you've got your shades on the bottom. I do not do my shades and gradients for some reason on my holly berry, and I don't. I do my highlights. I don't do the shading. Okay. Now, nose, again, same black. And this is where you can get really kind of creative with it. I go use the side of the brush. I use the flat side of the brush. Really, it's just up to you how you want to do it. Feather it in, because I'm going to put snow on his nose. Okay. And so far, that's it. Clean off your brush. We're going to do a brown on the reindeer, a dark brown for his shading. But let's go in with some of the white. So now here's the white. Again, feather it off. Add your snow. And I like to do some with like some heavy snowing on here. Okay. So this is how. Now we're going to go in with on the antlers. Again, bring it on the top. Because you figure the snow's coming down, right? So you want it on the top of the antler. Okay, antler one. Okay. Now don't worry about what it looks like. Snow is not perfect. If you think for 5 seconds that your snow has to be perfect on these antlers, you're sadly mistaken. Okay. Now I want to go in with a little bit more of my white. Feather it off. This thing. Okay. So I like to come in just around the edge so it kisses all of the edges. I don't know why I like it like this. This is just how I like it. Okay. You do what you want to do. I'll do what I want to do. Okay, just come in around the edges like that. It gives it a little dimension. It gives it fun. Now, the berries, bring it up. Not too much, but look at that. Isn't that cool? You can come right down in the center if you want. And now look at your berries. Okay. Now we've got some textures and gradients and all of that fun stuff. Now remember, this is going to sit like this. So what I want to do is I want to give it a little bit of a rosy cheek, if you will, on her cheeks. All right. So we're going to go in with the same one that had my white on it. Make it a little bit light. Dry it out. Okay. And right where we just circling it. You're putting rouge on, as they would used to say. Okay. You want to take that same dry brush technique and get some shading and gradients where the ears would be, like the inside of the ear. Nothing crazy. Dry brushing technique happens to help with a lot of the shades and the gradients. It makes it there without making it there, you know what I mean? So I want this to be a little darker. Now remember, I said I'm going to go back through with brown because I want it to be a darker, little bit of a shadow, but I don't want it to be black. Okay, so let's take that paintbrush. Let's take that paintbrush. All right, so now we've got our brown. Okay, so now that we've got our brown in here, we want to, again, dry brush this out. Now, if you come in, it causes it to have one kind of look. If you go out, it has like pull away versus pull in. So it depends on where I want it. Now, I might go back through with a little bit of a brownish black, especially on the ears. So depending on the technique you want, depends on which direction you're pulling or you're pushing. Okay. See how this is just, we have got some beautiful character going on in here. And I might go over the side a little bit. Again, I may go back through and I may add a little bit of the brown black, but we've got to keep going because it needs to morph into something that I need to look at and go, oh, I like that. Again, dry brushing technique. So now I'm looking at it going, I think I want a little bit of, sorry for the sun, a little bit of the black. So I'm going to add some black, very subtle, wipe it off, but I want to come in right in through here, I think. Let's add a little bit more. We're going to put some snow on the top eventually. But I want a little bit of a darkness in through here. Now you're going to say, Nick, how long does this take you to do it? Really, when I get doing these, 20 minutes tops. I'm doing this, I mean, I'm taking forever right now because I'm teaching. Okay, so there you go. That gives that, it's given the look that I want, but now I want to put some right in where these antlers are going to be because that's where they're going to be shadowed anyway. So I want to put a little bit right in through here because this is where the antlers are going to sit. Make it darker right in this whole section because it'll match up where the antlers go. Okay. Flippy dippy it around. Lightly come around. I might even put some right in here, right underneath the nose as a shadow. Okay. So that's so far what we have. Clear off the brush. Okay, I want to add in some white onto the tops of these ears. Nothing crazy. Okay, and we're going to do a little bit of a or right where the nose would be. So this has a score mark on it. So I'm going to just put it right here. Okay. You'll see it after. Okay, so now let's start briefly assembling this. So you're going to need your paintbrush. No, actually, just use one of the ones I'm using. Okay, clear off your paintbrush. Get your glue pod. Where did I stick that thing? Is it like sitting right in front of me? I feel like it's sitting right in front of me. Oh, there it is. Okay. Glue pod. Okay. Now, this is where I have multiple brushes, right? So we can go in and you can glue everything down and whatnot, but I have multiple brushes, so I can go in and just do what I need to do. Put on the back of here. Do not need a ton of glue. Okay, this is tight bond glue. This glue will dry fast. So, but you don't want it oozing out either. Okay, we don't want our glue oozing. So we're going to put this on. Line her up. Okay, now we're going to put our nose on. Again, you do not need a lot of glue. That's why the glue pods really don't need to be 5 mils. Okay. Now we're going to add in our antlers. Put him in here. Coming out so cute, right? And then we have in here. Okay, so far so good. We like it, right? And then we're going to come in through here. Now I know if you're going to watch this on the rewind, I know that there's only a few of you watching. That's because you're busy people. All right, so now where do we want to put this? I think I want to put it right here. Now this is where you can take the opportunity to add little types of what I call the dot embellishments. And then you can also add in all of that stuff afterwards. So you can spray it. I like to, again, your people are going to do whatever they want. There's a brush I have in here that is so, look at, you can tell. Get off some of the water. So let's just dip, take a little bit of the excess off. You take it, and because it's wet, see, I got a clump. That's all right though. Let it go, let it go. Okay, so I ended up with some paint. You can tap it if you want. It'll give it a nice snowy look. Okay, let it go. Don't like get all upset about it. All right, these are just ornaments. This is not like you're, going for $1 million. Now, if that bothers you, go in with your paintbrush and fix it. You have the brown. Just dry brush it in though, okay? Go over that spot. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, okay? Again, you can go in and do whatever you want. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Again, it's just an ornament. Okay. So now I want to go in with my dots. Use the back of the brush. And I'm going to 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Maybe I want some on the nose. Maybe I want some on the antlers. Where do I want this? Dab this off just a little. Whoops. Way too much. Oh, that was a doozy. Let's fix that real quick. We'll fix that in a second. I put too much on there. No big deal. We'll just repaint that red. Okay. This is a dot and a dot and a drag. Okay. That gives it a little bit of character. Dot, dot, drag. Dot, dot, drag. Okay, so now we have all of that yummy cuteness that's on there. Again, don't worry about that. You don't have to put the little flicks of snow. You could also do them in layers if you want to. That's fine too. It really doesn't matter. And you know what? Where that one spot is, I'm going to give it a dot there. Make it look like I did it there. Ha ha, look at me go. Okay, so let me fix that red real quick. Because that was a no-no. That was a no-no. Okay. We'll go back through with its shades and gradients in a second. Okay. There, we fixed it. We fixed it. Crisis averted. Okay. Now go get my white again. Oh, that's my glue. We don't want the glue one. That would be fantastic. Okay. Okay. Now, get that white again. A little bit more. Ah. Hi, Jody. Okay. So that's without the sun. That's what that looks like. Now, this right here, yeah, that bothers me a little bit too. So I'm just going to clean off my brush, get a little bit of this brown that I know is on his face, just stipple this on, and then tap it, kind of make it go away. But we're going to add a little bit of brown. Yeah, there we go. We like this for me. So there you go. Just make sure when you're doing your snow that you water it down a little bit. It makes it so that you don't end up with these weird drips like what I got. I just didn't water it down enough. And that's okay too. But there you go. Okay, you can go in if you want to and just take away some of the things that you did, if that bothers you. Let it do whatever it wants, okay? But that's it in a nutshell. I know that seems like it's a long tutorial, but when you start really doing these and you decide how you're going to paint them, they actually turn out absolutely adorable. So you see how here I went in and I didn't go all the way on the brim of his hat. I only went on the sides of it a little bit, and then I added my snowflakes. I actually didn't do the flick on this right out of the gate or at the end. I did it piecemeal. I flicked the snow on it piecemeal on this one. So that's how I did that one. This one, again, I did the snow on the back first. As you could see, these big, huge snowflakes. I loved it. I let it go. Okay. And then I added a little bit of white shading or highlighting on that, and then a little bit of highlighting on his beard. And then when it was done, I flicked it again with a little bit so that it would have this look. And then on this guy, I did this after the fact and wanted to go in and say, okay, this is how I could do this, that, or the third. So that's how that happened. And then this over cutie is just darling. And we love this for us. Let me see if I can get that. The sun is sunning right now, guys. So that's how that is. I will take a picture of all of them so you guys can see how I did them. But really, it's not that hard. Enjoy the process. You have the availability for extra brushes, but I do encourage you to go in and use the materials that you're giving your clients so that you know how to do it and see that, yes, you can. Because they may ask you, did you do it with that? Did you do all that with one brush? And you could say, yes, I did. There's just other little tricks that we can use because we have something like this. Do you want to include a toothpick? You could, but then you have to explain it. So we don't want to have to do that. Really, it's about using what you have at the end of the day and then keep going. So you want to have them in your instructions. If you want them to do the snow, do all of your painting to include your snow flicking before you glue the whole thing. Because once you add the glue to that paintbrush, you can't get it off. So you don't want that. And when I tell you there's enough glue in these, there is a lot. So get the 3 mil versus the 5 mil, except for everything like black and white, like I said, because black and white you're going to use, for your shades and your gradients and all of that stuff. So that is that. I hope that helps somebody at the end of the day. It's just about having fun. There is no special crazy technique. It's just, you don't got to be a graphic designer to create cute things. So with that said, I'll see you guys all real soon. You know where, on the flip side.